Hey everybody, Neil here from Post to Post. Hope your day is going well. Recently, we got some rumors, maybe some news that the NHL may be going back, kind of, to wearing white at home and dark away. That might be unusual for some of you, but that's not unusual for me because when I was watching hockey, probably the most in my life, other than, since I started the channel in 2017, was during the years of like the 90s and the early 2000s. And during that time, home teams wore white, away teams wore dark jerseys. But that's not the way that the NHL was, like originally. Originally, home teams wore dark, like they do now, and away teams wear white. So we're kind of going back, and this is potentially, by the way, this is part of the next CBA, essentially, which is coming up. So there's potential here to completely change the way that we view hockey. And not the game, but visually, obviously. So this isn't weird for me. This is actually what I prefer, but I completely understand the others, the other opinion, the opinion on the other side of the coin. But from my perspective, if I'm a fan going to a game or watching my team play, I like the primary color of my team is great. Although I'm wearing LA in this video, I switch up the team per every video because I talk about all teams, but my favorite team is the Montreal Canadiens. And if I was going to a game, it's great to see their red, like their red jersey's amazing, their home uniform and jersey, but I'm personally more interested in seeing the color switch up from any opposing team. So for example, if Montreal is playing Toronto, well, I'm seeing blue. If Montreal's playing Nashville, I'm seeing yellow or gold. If Montreal is playing Philadelphia, I'm seeing orange. So as a fan, I would just enjoy that a little bit more. Whereas right now, I see red every single time, and then I just see white. I always see white on the opposing side, okay? It's just always white. It essentially always looks the same for home games, which is fine. But I would just personally rather see the color switch up on the other side. But I can understand also the primary color of your team is the one that you want to see at home. You want to see your team's colors. Like, teams have primary colors for a reason. Montreal's is red. If they never wore red at home, that would kind of suck at the same time. So this all leads to a broader conversation of why the NHL is behind the ball on this. Many other sports leagues don't control what the teams wear on a nightly basis. They allow the authority to go to the teams to figure out themselves. So that's really where the conversation needs to go. It's not about whether teams always wear white on the road or always wear white home. This should be going in the direction that the NHL should allow the teams to respectfully decide for themselves and loosen the reins a little bit and let go of that control, because it is ridiculous. For example, if Montreal wanted to play Toronto, one team wears red, one team wears blue. Can't they just play each other with red and blue? We saw that in the most recent Four Nations tournament. Colors, very different opposing colors together. No white, and it was great. It was okay. It didn't cause any issues. So why can't we see that in the NHL? That's really the direction that we need to go. So I want to talk about that a little bit. It's not going to be a super long video, but I want to show some examples and just kind of talk through them. So let's bring up one example, starting with the Montreal Canadiens against the Vegas Golden Knights. So hypothetically, you can answer out loud if you're watching with people, or in your own brain, or in the comment section, whatever. As we go through these teams and these matchups, you decide if it's acceptable, if the color matchup would be acceptable in person, on TV, and just in general. So the Vegas Golden Knights versus the Montreal Canadiens here. To me, personally, this is completely acceptable. I don't think that a lot of people would have a difficult time differentiating on TV. And I'm also thinking about color blindness as well. And if I'm not mistaken, the most but the most abundant version of color blindness is like this red, green, brown kind of mix up. So to me, like, maybe there's potential issue here, but I still think that it would be okay. I should consult my father, who is colorblind, but maybe I'll get him to comment or something on the video. So to me, that matchup's completely fun. What do you guys think? Here's another one. The Toronto Maple Leafs versus the Nashville Predators. You've got blue versus yellow. This should be completely acceptable on every single platform, whether it's, whether you're watching on your phone, on a TV, whether you're watching in person. That's a color matchup that's completely fine in my opinion. Let's move on to maybe one that's not. Minnesota versus Dallas. This is unrealistic. So the NHL doesn't want this to happen. Okay, that's why they like to make the decisions. But if you tell the teams and you give them some guidelines and some standards, some brand standards for the NHL, for viewership, and you say, listen, if your team wears green, regardless of the shade, you can't wear that jersey against another team that plays green. Figure it out for yourselves, whether one team wants to wear white, one team wants to wear an alternate that's a different color. You just can't both wear green. So to me, this matchup, even though they're different shades of green, completely unacceptable. I would not be in favor of this. So this is a no-go for me. Here's one that's very difficult. The Islanders and the Oilers. Essentially almost identical jerseys, almost the exact shade between the two teams, blue and orange, and kind of similar designs as well. Like it's, both are kind of traditional designs. So this would never, ever work. This is one of the worst examples of a head-to-head same color matchup. It just can't happen, and it never will happen. Moving on to another one. This one's tough. Anaheim versus Philadelphia. Both orange, both white, both black. No gold or no bronzy, whatever, with Philadelphia, but still, this, to me, this is completely unacceptable. This would never work. Anaheim can never wear a dark jersey, and Philadelphia can never wear a dark jersey against each other. Or can they? Because I'll move on to the next one. Here's a situation, and a good reason why every team should have an alternate jersey. Philadelphia has a black alternate jersey. Well, if they didn't want to wear orange against Anaheim, because they can't, and they didn't really want to wear white either, they could wear black, and they could still pull it off. Orange team and a black team, very different. I don't see any conflict here. So here's a good example of a pivot that teams could do in terms of who they play. Here's an example. The Toronto Maple Leafs versus the Seattle Kraken. Two shades of blue, but very, very different shades of blue. So here's my question to you. Is this acceptable? Like the Minnesota-Dallas one was too close, even though they were drastically different shades. It was just too close. But this is quite different. That's a very vibrant blue, and that's a very deep, almost ocean blue, very dark, almost black. Is this acceptable? I don't think that it is. I think it's still too close, but I wouldn't be completely upset if the matchup did exist on TV or something like that. I still think people would have an easy time telling them apart, but I would vote against this matchup personally. So here's a even worse one. It's on the same line as the Edmonton and Islanders one. Toronto versus Tampa Bay. Okay, almost identical jerseys, like almost down to the striping. That's how close they are. And we've been arguing this for years about how one team should really differentiate from the other. Looking at Tampa Bay, because Toronto's kind of had the same look forever. So Tampa Bay maybe should consider adding some more black or just going black as their primary something. So here's a matchup that would never happen. Tampa versus Toronto, both wearing their dark jerseys. It's not going to happen. Or kind of like Anaheim, Philadelphia, could it? Because Tampa could switch and use their alternate, which is a black jersey. So that's really the conversation that I'm having here, is not that teams should wear white on for away or should wear white at home. I think there's pros and cons to both arguments. I don't think there's a right argument. I don't think there's a wrong argument. I think the right argument or the right conversation is to allow teams to make the decision of what jersey they want to wear depending on who they play. And if that means red versus blue, that's completely fine. If it means red versus white, also totally fine. If it's black versus orange, again, fine. As long as it doesn't cause any issues in terms of color blindness, cause any issues in terms of like close shades of colors or anything, I really think that the team should have way more authority. They should not have to get approval from the NHL. And I think that's totally manageable by the teams, talking to the other teams and having the schedule. They could make the entire schedule for the year. They could get their schedule from the NHL. Okay, we play this team on that date, that team on that date, and that team on that date. Let's reach out to that team. Let's have a conversation. Let's have a phone call. Hey, what jersey do you want to wear on October 6th? Okay, you want to wear that one? We'll wear this one. Well, we want to wear when we play you again on December 4th, we really want to wear this one. Can you wear that one? Like compromise and stuff. Like teams are going to be like, yeah, sure, no problem. That's why I think alternates are important. That's why I think teams should have more authority. However, I'm just a nobody giving my opinion in a video on YouTube. So I turn it over to you, hockey fans. What do you want to see? Maybe you don't even care. You just care that your team wins. You don't care what jerseys they wear. You don't care what colors they are. And there's nothing wrong with that either. But I like design. I like logos. I like colors. And that is important to me. And it's exciting as well. So let me know down below in the comment section how you feel about this. What do you want to see away teams wear? What do you want to see home teams wear? Would you be open to the opportunity of two teams wearing dark colors? like the Toronto Montreal situation, blue versus red. Let me know what you think. Hope you guys are having a great day. If you enjoy conversations like this, hit the like button and obviously subscribe if you're new. We'll talk to you very soon. Adios.